Because the Mets are really sucking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets. Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets. All the fans are true to the orange and blue. So hurry up and come on down. Cause we got ourselves a ball from the Mets of New York town. Give them a yell. Give them a hand. And let them know you're rooting and you stand. Come on and meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life. Because the Mets are really sucking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. The east side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Of New York town.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is CP Cards and Dice, and welcome to your home for tutorials and strategy and player profiles and history, reviews, news, tips, tops baseball cards, rants, and unboxings, and so much more. Here we have today, it's going to be Bill Hands versus Tom Terrific, Tom Seaver. We've got the 1970 Topps baseball card set representing each of the players, each of the pitchers on the mound today. So it's going to be Bill Hands, and let's take a quick peek at Bill Hands. He's started 22 games in our replay. He's got a 2.55 ERA and is 10-6. In actuality, he had a 2.49 ERA and was 20-14. We're about the halfway point in the season. The Mets are 49-36. And the Cubs are 45-46. They're in fifth place, while the Mets at 49-36 are in first place. So we are at game 86, I believe. That's yep. Quick math. Game 86, and it's the Cubs at home versus the New York Mets in our 1969 replay. Get the fan going here, and we're right about to start the game. Anyway, all right, so we're right about to get started. Let's get a little bit of sound in the background. Crowd noise. It's Tommy Agee going to lead it off for the Mets. Now, there's a little bit of, Philip Brenno's a little bit of controversy around some of the forums. Sports Tabletop or Sports Board Forum on Facebook, I think it's called. Something to that effect. They deleted my thread about the cards, the new season cards for Payoff Pitch, and I was questioning whether really this addition to the dates of March 28 to September 29, telling me that Alonso played the whole season with the Mets, is of value. It kind of gives me information that, okay, maybe I do need. But I also need to know more than that. I need to know if he was on the injured list. Now, I could look here and see that he had pretty much a full season. It doesn't actually – well, the games aren't listed, first of all, but you can kind of tell by the at-bats, more or less. So there's In other words, this opens a can of worms is my point. I don't know if he was on the injured reserve list. I don't know if he was on a critical 2-week period of the season. He was not available to play. So I'm not aware of that either. There's a lot of factors that I'm not aware of. You give me some information, but there's so much other information that I need, and that information right here is not enough. I still have to go to Baseball Reference anyway. So really, that's really my question is, okay, so you added some dates there. When does it stop? When do you keep on? First of all, you got a big blank space up here, right? And you got everything crushed into a small area at the bottom of the card. Now, this is different than, I believe, the cards that you get from the company itself. These are the PDF, and this is the card that you get from the company. So here, the outs are on the side, and they're much more easily read. Okay, on the PDF card, it's at the bottom of the card, and it's kind of crunched down there, and it's kind of tricky to read. You need plenty of lighting. I just added some lights in the room to just be able to read them. So this is basically, this is the topic that I brought up on a couple of forums. Now, I was personally harassed and attacked on some forums because I questioned the need to add a full season, telling me that Alonso played the full season with the Mets. I don't know if it's necessary because it doesn't in any way basically dispel my need or prevent my need from having to go to Baseball Reference, right, and look up the other information. He may have been there, like, for example, let me give you an example, right? Brandon Nimmo, right? He has 200 at-bats. He was with the Mets the whole season. It doesn't say because I whited it out. But he missed 2.5, 3 months of the season. So if I don't know that, then I'm playing Brandon Nimmo. I know I could look. I'm not saying it's the worst possible addition to a very cool tabletop set. I'm just questioning whether it's a can of worms. Whether when you start making these changes, you it's a Pandora's box, and all of a sudden now you need to, make another change. And then when does it stop? When do you limit it? How do you say, okay, now nobody needs any more information? That's it. You see what I'm saying? If you have something good, I don't know how much you should mess with it. And that was really my point. It wasn't an attack on the company. It was just questioning whether companies in general should make changes that may or may not be worthwhile. So you're changing something and you're adding something that was really, I know that Pete Alonso was with the team the whole year. I mean, I don't need you to tell me that. I mean, and you can tell pretty much by the at-bats at the bottom, right, that he was with the team the whole year. But no, I understand that maybe he came over. Maybe he has this number of at-bats, but he had half the at-bats with one team and half the at-bats with the other team. But wait a second. Payoff pitch makes a card for every team, and that card is representative of only the at-bats that he had with that team. So why would you need, in addition to that, why would I have to know? So maybe add this only to the combined player card. So this is what Payoff Pitch does, right? It gives you a player card for Team A, player card for Team B, player card for Team C if that player was on a third team, and then it's going to give you a combined total, right? It's going to give you a combined player card where then it would make sense to add this. Perhaps, I don't even know, because he's been on 3 teams. So then what are you going to have, 3 different dates? I just don't understand. It's already telling me, okay, so then it'll tell me, let's say, let's look at a guy that was only there for a little while. Okay, Tim Peterson. Tim Peterson played until June 11th. So I can use Tim Peterson from March 31st to June 11th. But I'm going to tell you that he was up and down weeks during these 3 months, April, May, and June, 2.5 months. He was up and down in the minors. So some weeks he was not available for all the days. That isn't said here. But, hey, this may be helpful. It may be helpful. I can use him for 6 games between these dates, and after that, I can't use him anymore. All right, it could work for a guy like this. So I'm not saying you couldn't convince me that, hey, this is a great idea. Hey there, how are you, Phil? I'm not saying that this is not an idea that can be helpful. I'm just saying I'm questioning whether, we should be quick to start manipulating and adding information on cards. I think, again, like I said, you want everything on the card to be very, very essential and purposeful. You don't want to just start, trivializing the information that you find on these cards. I mean, if you look at the APA card, for example, and somebody mentioned that, right? If you look at the APA card, it's got the guy's height, his weight. It takes up a lot of space with what side he throws from. They could have written right /R/R. His height, 6'4", 205 pounds. His birth date, Long Beach, California. I always had to do math to figure out the birth date. Long Beach, California is where he was born. And then it gives you his nickname, which is, this is a Cold War era APA card, Mike Kruko. It's a Cold War era system that really hasn't changed since 1958. So, it's okay. It is what it is. They haven't changed since 1958. They haven't really made any major changes to the system. It's very fundamental, very basic. I'm playing the 87. I'm doing an 87 replay, Mets replay, with the APA set, which I'm an original APA user. So that's fine. Maybe back then in '58 when they added that, I would have been like, hey, do we really need that? And guys actually don't like the fact that they're taking up all that space on the card with that information. They could have made the numbers bigger. They could remove that. And I mean, we could even manipulate that today. And I know that some guys are out there making cards with larger font, larger cards with larger font. They could have made these numbers a lot bigger. But at that time, we were kids playing these games. Today, we're adults playing these games. So anyway, that's the deal. So again, the whole, mini controversy is really about this little section on top, whether it was really needed or not needed. And I just think it's a can of worms. I would have been happy with the cards as is. This is obviously the new cards are going to have the team, and then after the team, a long line here of dates telling me, giving me more random information that I really don't need because some guys may need it, but other guys don't need it. So, I mean, why add it? Why not add it, but add it on a separate sheet of paper? Add it on a separate sheet of paper, and I can look down and circle or underline guys that are only going to be there temporarily, and so forth. I don't know. I don't know why that. It was why it was more important to manipulate the card and add a bunch of information. I'll make this a long line on top rather than a nice clean line, uncluttered line up here. You're taking this whole line and stretching it all the way. You're starting the team name over here in the left-hand corner, the year, the team, the league, and then all the way over here in brackets, you're going to have March, blah, 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 to, September, etc. And then I guess you're going to push down the date, right? You're going to push the date down a little bit. His birthday. You're going to push his birthday down. So this is the issue. So, if you go to the Delphi tabletop thread that's called Cluttering Up Cards or something to that effect, you get a lot of guys just, attacking me personally for speaking my opinion. And I mean, I think that's really, uncalled for. And it's basically akin to modern day internet bullying. You don't talk about the guy's idea, but you want to attack his credibility, right? You want to undermine his voice by attacking him personally, personal attacks. And really, that's all it's about. And it's usually a cowardly act that is very kind of small-minded and kind of just obnoxious. It's not a cool thing to do. I think you don't attack the person. You say, hey, you know what? Maybe you're making some points that may be valid. I really don't care enough to deal with it. So you bypass the thread, or if you want to say something, you say something about the idea. Hey, I like it. I think it'll help me. So, okay, that's good. Good for you. It just doesn't help me. I just don't see the point in it. And that's the whole point. We have to kind of be, receptive to dialogue regarding our games. Mike Bowling over at sports, the sports forum. Let me take a quick look and tell you what it's called. He has a tendency to really limit people's, voice. Let me take a quick peek at what that is. Sports board games on Facebook. There's a tendency there to limit people's voice. You can't critique if he considers it, an attack on a company. I wasn't attacking the company. I'm voicing a concern, and I wanted to basically create a discussion on how, when does adding stuff to cards and how do we want our cards to look? Guys started talking about, hey, some card systems are very uncluttered. Some card systems are very cluttered, right? If you look at the strat game, right? If you look at a strat card, this is a strat card. Look at this. Try to read those numbers, if you need to, right? That's not easy to do. So that's and this is actually one that you print out. Okay, this is from their card app. You can print these out. And these are really tiny, but the actual cards are not much bigger. Like the older cards are. The font is much bigger, right? But these newer cards, let me see if I have one lying around. Here we go. This side is not too bad. Pretty big and pretty easy to read. But if you go over to this side, right? This is my 1977 set. I mean, that's pretty small. Take a look at this, right? This is a pitcher, Dave Justy, versus this card. I mean, this is real. You cannot compare how cluttered this card is compared to this card, right? And that's really the discussion that I want to bring up. I want to just make people aware that, hey, some cards are really, really cluttered with tons of information, and it's not really that easy to read for people that are basically losing their eyesight. So a lot of guys say, "Oh, I don't worry about the advanced side. I just use the basic side," and the basic side's much easier to read, a lot more space, right? Much easier to read. So anyway, that's kind of the conversation I wanted to have, just to send a message out there to the designers. Hey, be considerate when creating, when starting to change your product. Because when you change your product, you're shaking up your base, your consumer base, your market, right? And you may want to think twice. So that's really what it's all about. And it wasn't about criticizing a company. It's about, getting a discussion going and sending a message to the designers. Hey, listen, let's be thoughtful about the changes we make. Let's be smart about, let's be purposeful. Let's not just add stuff for the sake of adding stuff. Because I got a few guys that said, hey, I want to see this on the card. Why don't you add this? Why don't you add that? Well, it's a ripple effect, and it can have a snowball effect. And you add one thing, then why not add something that I need? And why not add something that Philip Reynolds needs? Or why not add something that Bleacher Bums needs? Or why not add something that ID Gesture needs? Why not add something, right? So you know what? End of the day, on Mike Bowling's forum on Facebook, right? All I said to him is ultimately, he said he didn't have any problem with it. Okay, and it could have ended there, right? But he didn't want to end it there. He wanted to think more about it, because when I responded to him, right, that, hey, it's an easy fix, guys. It's an easy fix. All you got to do, right, is get some correction tape. You take the dates that are there, clogging up this line. You just, there you go. Done. No more problem. No more extra information. Okay, so that's basically how you solve that problem, end the story, and you move on, and that's it. So let's get started with our game. Where the Mets are a game and a half in first place here in 1969. And it's going to be Bill Hands versus Tom Seaver. We're going to use the fast action card system. And a message for the guys on these forums, let people have discussions. Don't, all you got to do is stop the harassment and the personal attacks. That's really all you need to do. You don't need to manipulate the discussions all that much. Just let guys voice their opinions. And as long as they're not attacking each other and bullying each other and just saying, hey, listen, I don't like this added feature. I think the cards were great the way they were. It's a great system. The cards are great the way they were. I don't know why they changed it. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with allowing guys to just kind of speak their mind? There's, the excuse, Mike's excuse was, oh, it's the end of the world because it's a small industry and any little negative comment could, have a damaging effect to the sales of this company. Well, you know what? Maybe some companies need to have their sales damaged a little bit. Maybe they're not really serving their customer base. Maybe they're not giving the customer base what it needs. And if we're not allowed to speak up about what we like and what we don't like, then how are they going to improve? How are they going to get more customers? How are they going to thrive in the business? So you should consider that. So you have to take the good with the bad, and it's more important to be open-minded and allow speech than to limit it and be a censor, act as a censor, because when you minimize information, okay, you hurt everyone. Okay, so this is something that definitely should not, and I don't know why I have this. Let me see if I could change that, put it in a better spot there. There it is. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to put it in that spot. I think it's a little bit better than where there was a lot of glare where it was. So I'm moving this to the side, and there was a bunch of glare where it was, and we're getting started with the game. So that's my message, and that you can see that on the forums. If you go there, I'm not going to discuss it anymore. It's not worth it. But that's how I feel, and hopefully, some people took notice and they said, you know what, I better be purposeful and really know and do my market research before I start making change to my cards. Yeah, and Philip says maybe I'll buy more sets if they go to a larger font size. There you go. I mean, he says, as far as ID gesture goes, how does alien kills figure into a baseball game? LOL. Yeah, ID gesture is a character. All right. We're right about to get started. All right, here goes. Tommy Agee, Bill Hands versus Tommy Agee. It's a 6, a tough pitch, a tough 98. Two righties on the mound today. That tough 98 is a fly ball left field. Under it is Smith. One down. That's a 7 in play. In play 65. It's a ground ball shortstop. Kessinger. 2 down. And now it's Cleon Jones. That's tough. 73. Yeah, that's a fly ball center field. Under it is the center fielder, whoever that was. It just popped on me. Let me see if I can get it quickly. That was in center field is Qualls. Makes the catch, puts it away, puts that one away, and now it's Don Kessinger. Tom Seaver versus Don Kessinger, bottom of the first, 8. Tough 94. And it's a fly to left. Out there is Cleon Jones. Glenn Beckert, tough 80. That's a ground ball shortstop. Weiss across the diamond, throws out Beckert. 2 outs, nobody on. Billy Williams, tough out, 35. And that's a ground ball back to Seaver. Seaver feels his position, throws out Williams. 3 up, 3 down. Bill Hands against Shamsky. That's a 10. 10 is defense. We pull a potential error against Hands. Fielding, he's a 4 error. And that's a 33. And he boots it. Bill Hands lets it go off his glove. It'll probably be a 1 base error. I don't see it being more. And it is. It's a 1E1. So on at first is Shamsky. Wayne Garrett now. He's a left-handed batter. That's a 6, a tough 64. And that's a ground ball to shortstop. This could be a double play. Let's see. And nope, it's going to be a field choice. 6-4. No throw to first. Garrett hustling down the line. Eddie Kranepool. That's a 7 in play, 84. We got a lot of high numbers here early on. And that's a 2-hopper to Beckert, second baseman, and that retires the side. Oh, no, one more. J.C. Martin with 2 outs. That's a 7. Again, in play. We're getting a little bit closer to a hit area. It's a 54. That's a bouncer to short. Kessinger waits back, now charges, fires the first in time. All right, Ron. Yeah, that should have been Martin, but it was fine. It was the same story anyway. It was rounded to short. All right, so it's Tommy Seaver now here in the bottom of the second. That's a tough out. Tough out 12 is strike 3. Seaver rings up Santo. Ernie Banks, Mr. Cub. 5, tough out 48. And that is a ground ball, third base, backhanded by Garrett. Long throw to first, in time. Got Banks by half a step. Willie Smith, he's a left-handed batter. Willie Smith on the season is batting .233 and 129 at bats. That's a 9. A patient 25. And that's going to be ball 4. So Smith is on with a walk with 2 outs. And it's a 4, patient 42. And that's line base hit center field. And over to third will be, oh no, Smith's holding up. Unless we could pull this card. Yep, he's holding up at second. All right, so it's first and second and 2 outs. And it's Jimmy Qualls. Jim Qualls in our replays batting .347 and 49 at bats. Versus righties is a .248 batter. That's a 6. That's a 6 off Seaver. That's a tough out. Tough out 92. That's a fly to left. Towards the line is Jones and makes the catch. So they leave 2, score none, and at the end of 2.5, or at the end of 2 complete, there's no score here. Bill Hands versus Weiss. Al Weiss. Al Weiss is batting .248. Replacing the injured Bud Harrelson. 9, tough out. Tough out 12, strike 3. Weiss downswing. High heat gets Weiss. Tommy Terrific. It's a 3-pitcher hitting card. That's a 3 patient. A patient 56. He's a 3-pitcher hitting card, and I have a 5. I don't know why. That's why. All right. And what did I say? That's a good thing with cards. You can go back, and it was a patient 56. And that's a ground ball, second base. And Beckert charges it over to first. 2 outs. Top of the order now. Tommy Agee. Pitch to Agee. In play 17. That's line. Base hit to left. Agee's on with a single. He's a threat to steal. Let's see. There he goes. The throw down. Not in time. And the throw may get away. And it does. So it's an error on the second baseman. Hudley throws it over Beckert's head and actually Kessinger's head, who was there covering. And it goes into center field, and Quall is going to play it. But Agee, with 2 outs, is going to hustle it. So it's going to be a stolen base and an error. Let's see how I can get that. I got to go to detail for that. Stolen base. So, and then there's going to be an error on the catcher, allowing the Let's see. Safe. And now he's going to go to third. So there's going to be a stolen base. And then there's going to be an error, allowing him to go to third on the catcher. Stolen base, and then an error. Fielder's needed. There's the fielder. All right. So he's at third base now. So Tommy Agee at third base, 2 outs, and it's Kenny Boswell. Kenny Boswell's batting .332 and 220 at-bats. So he's doing much better than expected, and this could be a base hit, but it is not. It's actually a comebacker to Bill Hands, and scoops it over to first, and that retires the side. So Mets got a runner to third, but weren't able to capitalize on the error. And Tom Seaver now against the pitcher, who's they're both threes. So that's why. Okay. They're both threes, so let me get some more light. I'm looking for a 3-pitcher hitting card. I had a 5 there. I don't know why. Oh, boy. I may have left that in another deck, so I may have to swing that back and forth. Yeah, I went through like every – oh, here it is. It's all the way at the bottom. All right, so it's Bill Hands versus Tom Seaver. Here goes. That's a 2, tough. I didn't play, rather. Didn't play 33. And that's a ground ball to the first baseman, and Kranepool's going to flip to Seaver, 3-1. 1 out in the bottom of the third, no score. Defense. Shortstop, potential shortstop error, and nope, he's going to get to it. Long throw in the hole, and Weiss gets his man at first. 6-3. Nice play by Weiss. Had trouble pulling it out of his glove for a split second, but then fired it to first and got Kessinger. Becker with 2 outs. That's a 12. That's a wheelhouse 78. It's a ground ball shortstop. Weiss throws him out. All right, we'll go to top of the fourth. We're going to shuffle real quick. We're playing the New York Mets, Tom Seaver versus Bill Hands. Using payoff pitch, baseball. All right, we're ready to roll. Here goes Bill Hands versus Cleon Jones. Cleon Jones batting .324. That's a 5. Patient 72. And that's a fly ball center field. On the run is Qualls and makes the catch. That's 8. 1 down. And that's a 5. Patient again, 66. And that's a grounder to short. High hop for Kessinger. 2 down. Shamsky's out on the grounder. That's Wayne Garrett. 11, tough. Tough 51, and that's a ground ball through the hole. Base hit. Williams gets it in. 2-out single for Wayne Garrett. And it's Ed Kranepool. Ed Kranepool from the Bronx. Tough. Tough 56. That's a ground ball up the middle, and Kessinger flips to Beckert, 6-4, and that retires the side. Go to the bottom of the fourth, no score here in Chicago. 6, tough out for Seaver, 45. Is a grounder to first. Kranepool going to take it himself. 3 unassisted. Ronnie Santos, 7 in play. 67. And that's a bouncer to second. Boswell throws him out. 2 down. Ernie Banks, 12, tough. Tough 50, and that's a ground ball through the hole into left field. Jones gets it into Weiss. So Ernie Banks on with a 2-out single. And it's Will Smith. Will Smith batted .259 versus righties. 6, tough out, 0-1. Strike 3, and Seaver blows it by Smith, and that retires the side. Tom, terrific. That's probably the hardest ball he's thrown all night. Bill Hands, Philip Reynolds. Card's getting fuzzy. Yeah, card's getting fuzzy. Yeah, they're always fuzzy, my friend. All right. Bill Hands, J.C. Martin. Here goes, 7. In play. In play, 54. And that's a fly ball. Stroke to left field. Under it is Smith. 1 down. Now Weiss. Patient 09. That's going to be line. Pull down the line into the left field corner. Smith after it, hustling around first, trying for second. And here's the throw, and he is safe with a 1-out double. Now Weiss gets himself into scoring position here in a 0-0 game in the top of the 5th. Bill Hand threw him an inside fastball, and he turned on it, pulled it down the line into the left field corner, and Smith kind of had a little bit of trouble getting to it, and the throw to second base was late. Weiss is on at second with a double. 1-out double. Tom Seaver's next. Here's the pitch. That's a 7. In play, 12. Uh-oh, this is going to be trouble for Hands. And in play, 12, and that's a ground ball up the middle and through for a base hit. And this may score Weiss. Let's see what happens. And it does. They're waving Weiss around, and here's the throw. Cut off. 1-0 Mets. Tom Seaver serving his own cause. All right, Bill Hands to Tommy Agee with Seaver on at first. That's a 10. That's a defense. Potential error third base and a 65. I don't think that's going to be an error on the third baseman. Third baseman is Santo. He's a 3 error. It goes up to 53. So, no, that's a ball that's a line drive to Santo. That's my homebrew rule on the defense. I added some defense results on 0-0 with nobody on. A 0-0 is a 0-0 is going to be, with nobody on, is going to be a defensive card. I felt that there were not enough defensive results, and those outs to the corners, I make them into lineouts. And you can get a double play on those lineouts as well if you have an A or B fielder at those positions. All right, so that's a line out, 2 outs now. And it's Kenny Boswell. Here's the pitch. That's a patient 0-0. Now, this is a little bit different because you got somebody on base, you see. So that's different now. So with somebody on base, it's going to be runner on base. And we're going to pull a card. It's going to be 5, and that's going to say reroll 2d6. 23. So if higher than the pitcher, 2d6. Reroll 2d6. Okay, so it's a 6. If higher than the pitcher's hold rating, it's a balk. Otherwise, no balk and re-roll. So his hold rating is a 5. What do we roll? A 6. So it is a balk. Holy smokes! I'm not used to seeing like okay. The hold rating for Seaver is a 5 as well, and we rolled a 6. And it's 2d6. Let's see. Reroll 2d6. Yeah, if it's higher. Equal or higher than the pitcher's hold rating, a balk is called. So there's a balk called. And Hands doesn't know what he did to cause a balk. And out comes the manager, Leo DeRocher, and he's not happy. He wants to know what's going on here. So they're going to have a meeting of the minds. Umpires are having a quick meeting to find out what exactly is what and why the balk was called. Hands is beside himself, not happy. This puts an additional runner in a 1-0 game at second base now with Kenny Boswell at the plate. All right. So it seems that he kind of flinched. It looks like Hands, looking at the replay, it looks like Hands flinched a bit. And that was the reason for the balk call. And I think this is the first balk I've had all season. This is like an unusual play of balk. This is not something that comes up very often. All right. Kenny Boswell, Bill Hands, 9. That's tough out. 23, strike 3, side retired. So I guess that motivated Hands enough to rear back a little bit and bring it. strikes out Kenny Boswell to end the inning. All right, Randy Hudley in the bottom of the 5th inning against Tom Seaver, 1-0 game, tough out, 0-3, strike 3. So Tom Seaver blows one by Hudley, and it's Jim Qualls. That's a 9, a patient 34, and that's going to be a hit by pitch. So he's plunked by Tom Terrific, the franchise. And Qualls is on at first. Now, Qualls is not a threat to steal. We'll try it. He's got 2 stolen bases. Pitcher's going to bunt here. We'll try a bunt. He's a kind of a bunter. Hands is a C bunter. So it's a potential error. So we're going to look and see what that means quickly here. Now, this is pretty much a chartless game. Let's see. An error, stealing, advancement. Let's see where the bunt is. Okay, bunt. Sacrifice, an error. Well, 1d6 if higher than the fielder's E rating. So it's a potential error on the pitcher. Seaver is rating is a E rating. Pitcher's, he's a 3. So let's see. 1d6 a 3, roll a 4. So it's an E1. So runners on first and second. So he bunts it back to Seaver. Seaver bobbles it, now drops it, now picks it up, throws the first, not in time. So it's a sacrifice hit and an error. And an error on the pitcher, Seaver, putting runners on first and second, 1 out, and it's Don Kessinger. Now Kessinger on the season is batting .308. Against righties, he batted .284, so he's not far from that. Getting pretty realistic results playing payoff pitch baseball using the replay baseball computer game to sim all the other teams in the season, in the 69 season. All right, here's the pitch from Seaver. That's ballpark. Ballpark 95. That's going to be in play 35 versus a right-handed pitcher. And that's a ground ball. Come back to Seaver. This may be 2, 5 or less, and we roll a 10. So Seaver is going to get 1 at second base. It's going to be 1-6, fielder's choice. So spins, throws to Weiss at second, throw to first, not in time. Kessinger hustling down the line, avoids the double play. So now the tying run is on the third base, first and third. And it's Glenn Beckert, who for the season in the replay is batting .293. In reality, batted .284 versus righties. Here's the pitch. Seaver 4. That's patient 78. And that is a ground ball hit hard right at Weiss. Nice play. Throws the first and gets his man, and that retires the side. So the Cubs threaten in the bottom of the 5th, but come up short. Cleon Jones leading it off for the Mets. Against Bill Hands, 6, a tough 78. That's a fly ball center field. Line, but right at Qualls. Art Shamsky's next. 8 is in play 24, and that's a ground ball and through the right side for a base hit. So it's a 1-out single for Art Shamsky. Mets have really turned it around since Shamsky and Clendenin have joined the team. They're basically that. What this shows me and what this teaches me is the great influence that these 2 players had on the Mets season. Since they've come on, the Mets have really turned it around. They really struggled offensively until both Clendenin and Shamsky joined the team, and from that point on, it kind of basically brought them to life. So Wayne Garrett, Shamsky's on at first. Wayne Garrett is a guy who he strikes out a bunch, so we're not going to actually hit and run with him. That's a 6. That's a tough 48. And that's going to be a line shot in the corner. Billy Williams hustling to cut it off, and he does, gets it in quickly, and that's going to keep Shamsky at second base. Shamsky wasn't sure if it was going to get through the infield. It was a line shot into right field, and the first baseman kind of reached up Banks to get it, but kind of didn't reach it. So first and second with 1 out. And it's Eddie Kranepool. It's the pitch from Hands, a 6, tough. Tough 14, strike 3. Kranepool, downswinging. So Hands rings him up. And now there's 2 outs, and it's J.C. Martin, left-handed batter, 11. That's a tough 26, strike 3, and back-to-back Ks, and that retires the side. Billy Williams leading it off for the Cubs in the bottom of the 6th against Tom Terrific. The score is 1-0 Mets. That's a 7. That's in play, 0-0. That's going to be a defensive card. That's my homebrew error third base. And it's Garrett at third base, a 71. Will not be an error because, oh, wait a second. In Wrigley Field, it could be an error. Every field is a little bit different. So we're going to look at Garrett's number. Garrett at third base is a 3. That goes 1 to 51. We rolled a 71. So that's a line drive and caught by Garrett at third base. Nice play by Garrett. Left just at the right time and made the catch. And it's Ron Santa with 1 out. That's an 8, tough 27. Strike 3, and Seaver with a strikeout. Chalk another one up for Tom Terrific. Ernie Banks, 9, patient 70. And that's a line drive caught by the second baseman, and that retires the side. So hit it on the screws, but right at Boswell. Al Weiss in the top of the 2nd is the last time we have to shuffle. Now, if you want to listen to my rant, it's at the beginning of this program. Before we get to the game, a little about some additions to the payoff pitch cards, some dates, and I show you how to use correction fluid to get rid of it if they bother you. I did it to a couple of players, and now it's and then I spoke a little bit about internet bullying and harassment. When people bring up, topics for discussion, I mean, don't attack them. If you don't have anything positive to say, just kind of move on to another topic. Don't harass. Don't be all there all the time with personal attacks. That's online bullying, okay? Doesn't do us any good. We're all adults now where we should be past that. But there's a couple of guys, particularly a guy like Tremaine, who likes to hang out over there and harass and attack. Of course, these are the people that don't say anything to your face in real life. But you can check that out at the beginning of this this live stream, and I will make sure that I'm going on there and I'm letting them know to listen. All right, so that's we're going to top of the 7th. It's 1-0 Mets using payoff pitch baseball. All right, Bill Hands against Al Weiss. Top of the 7th. Here's the pitch, 8. That's in play. In play 0-1, and that's going to be pulled down the line into left field corner, and that's going to roll around out there and around first and into second base standing with a leadoff double is Al Weiss. Al Weiss is shortstop replacing Bud Harrelson, who's on the injured list. So although Bud Harrelson played the whole year with the Mets, he misses about a month and a half. Okay, in which Al, because your replay, if you're worried about dates, some guys don't care about the dates and they want to make their own lineups and they want to use fantasy lineups, and that's great. That's what you like. That's what makes you happy. Go for it. All right, but for guys that want information, just putting the dates that he's on the team and telling me he was on the team the whole season, how does that help me? It doesn't tell me when he was on the injured list, or if he was sent down to the minors, or if he was suspended 80 games. I would have to look up that information anyway. So you're giving me one little bit of information without giving me the whole bit of information. It's like me asking you for a number and you give me the first, the area code. I say, okay, great, thanks. Thanks for the area code. That helps. But what about the other 7 digits? All right. So Bill Hands versus Tom Seaver. Here's the pitch. 8. That's in play. 35. And that's a grounder to first baseman. That's going to get Weiss over to third. 3 unassisted. So now the infield is going to be in for the Cubs. Ballpark 28 to Tommy Agee against a right-handed pitcher, 1 to 50, and that ball's a deep drive. And that's a deep drive, but off the wall and played perfectly by Smith, who gets it in, and they're going to hold Tommy Agee with a long RBI single. So Tommy Agee connects for one, drives it bounces off the wall, bounces right to Smith, who turns around, fires it to second. Agee was halfway to second, changes his mind, goes back to first with an RBI single. The Mets are up 2-0. Kenny Boswell, 10. Defense. Error third base. That's an 11. That's a definite error. Is it a 1 or a 2 base error on the third baseman? It's a 1 base error, E5. Santo, ground ball to Santo. He bobbles it, throw to first, not in time. The official scorer gives Santo the error. Cleon Jones, 5. Patient 88. And that's a ground ball shortstop. This could be a tailor-made double play ball, but no, there's only one play. Long throw to first, in time. 2 outs. Runners on set. Both runners move up second and third now. Art Shamsky with runners on second and third, and Art Shamsky's been in trouble the whole season for, National League pitchers. So they're going to walk Shamsky here in this situation. And they're going to face Wayne Garrett, who's batting .218. Here's the pitch, 11. That's a tough 99 that's popped up right side. Banks calling for it, under it, makes the catch, and that retires the side. So Mets pick up a run, and they lead it 2-0 going to the bottom of the 7th. Tom Terrific versus Willie Smith. That's a 6. Tough out, 0-4, strike 3. And Seaver blows a fastball by Smith. Randy Hundley, that's a 9. Patient 37, and that is ball 4. Jim Qualls, defense, error first base, and that's a 12. And that's a ground ball to the Crane Pool, who bobbles it and rolls away from him. Everybody is safe. Kind of rolls away into foul ground, and going for second is going to be Qualls. Hundley to third, and the throw to second not in time, so it's a 2-base error. A 2-base error on the first baseman. Qualls is on at second, Hunt on at third. So the tying runs are in scoring position, and it's Bill Hands, the pitcher. Now we are in the bottom of the 7th, and I guess we could bring in a pinch hitter in this situation. Let's look and see here, 69. It's going to be potentially Jim Hickman, and then Phil Regan. Phil Regan is the 82-year-old pitching coach for the Mets. Still around, believe it or not. And Jim Hickman, hopefully he's a lefty. We can get him in there. He's a right-hander. Let's see if they have any lefties around. All right, Tom Seaver. Let's go to the next game. It's a heck of a ball game. 2-0 Mets, second and third for the Cubs here in the bottom of the 7th with only 1 out. So Al Spangler is another potential pinch hitter. I'm looking for a lefty to go up against Seaver, the righty. So Spangler's in here somewhere. Did not see him anywhere. Oh, there he is. Okay. So Spangler's going to come in and pinch hit for Bill Hands. And we'll set up the scenario here. So Spangler comes in. Spangler's batting on the season, batting 170 and 165 at bats. So he's really struggled versus righty. Spangler batted 204 and had most of his at-bats versus righties, batting 170 in the season replay. But Al Spangler is going to face Tom Seaver with runners on second and third. The Mets are going to play the infield back. They're willing to concede a run here because they're up by 2. So let's see what happens. We're going to pull a card for Tom Seaver. Here's the pitch from Tom Seaver, and it's a 7. That's an in-play, not what you want to see. An in-play 29 versus a right-handed pitcher, and it's going to be a ground ball back to Seaver. And Seaver, with 1 out, He's going to go to first. So it's 2-1. 2-1 now, and the tying run at third base with Don Kessinger at the plate. Don Kessinger is a switch hitter batting from the left side. In our replay, Kessinger's batting .307. So you have Seaver in a kind of in a tough situation here with the tying run at third base in the bottom of the seventh inning. The Mets are up 2-1, and the line score for the Mets is 2 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors, while the Cubs have 1 run, 2 hits, and 3 errors today. This ballpark is an injury-prone ballpark. It's got very high error numbers. Goes all the way up to 82. If you're not a good fielder, you have basically an 82% chance of committing an error when an error comes into play. Other times it could be range, but we've gotten a lot of error calls today and not very many range calls. All right, so it's Don Kessinger. He steps in the box from the left side. Tom Seaver checks Martin for the sign. He sets and he deals. That's a 5. Oh, that's a great pitch. And that's a 55. That's going to be popped up right side. And Kessinger throws down the bat in disgust. And Shamsky, Boswell in right field, Shamsky calls him off, makes the catch, and that retires the side. So Tom Terrific comes out of it with only 1 run, and he still holds on to the lead 2-1 here in the top of the 8th inning. It's going to be Ed Kranepool against Phil Reagan. Give you a little, Phil Reagan's in red. I got Aguirre, I got Holtzman. I can still pitch him, and I'm not going to, I am going to pitch Reagan simply because, all right, so here's Reagan against Kranepool. That's a 6, patient 60. He's a righty, so Reagan is. It's a ground ball shortstop, and Kessinger steps back, now charges, fires to first, and gets his man, gets Kranepool by half a step. J.C. Martin, 5 in play, 58. And that's chopped to short. Nice, easy hop. 2 down. Al Weiss. In play 15. That's a ground ball and through for a base hit into left field. I believe that's Weiss's 3rd hit of the game. Let me check the box score, and it is. He's 3 for 4 today. 2 outs, 1 on. Tom Seaver, 3-pitcher hitting card. That's a 2 ballpark. A 42 is going to be wheelhouse for Seaver, and a 99 that's popped up. That's a left side. 3rd baseman Santo makes the catch, and that retires the side. So Reagan gets Seaver to pop up to end the inning. Glenn Beckert's leading it off against Tom Terrific. That's 5, a tough out, 82. That's a grounded to short. 1 down, Billy Williams. 7 in play, 67. That's again to shortstop. Weiss gets him. 2 down. Ron Santo, 7 in play, 32. In play 32. Oh, right outside of hit range, and that's lined and caught by Weiss, and that retires the side. 3 up, 3 down for Tom Terrific in the bottom of the 8th. Top of the 9th. Mets are up 2-1. Can they hold on? Phil Regan versus Tommy Agee. That's a 5 in play, 10. That's a ground ball and through into left field for a base hit. Tommy Agee's on at first. Potential stolen base. It's a 10. He does not go. Kenny Boswell. He's got about 50. He's a hit and run. There goes Agee. That's an 8. An 8 is tough. A tough 60. And that's a grounder to, oh no, that's 5 ball left field. So scampering back is Agee to first base. He was on the run there. Cleon Jones, 4 in play, 98. That's a pop-up left side. Smith in, and he calls for it. 2 down, Art Shamsky. 6 is patient 29, and that's ball 4. So Shamsky walks. Wayne Garrett, runners on first and second, 2 outs. And that's a 4 in play, 91. And that's lined and caught by the second baseman, Beckert. And that retires the side. Go to the bottom of the 9th. Can the Mets hold on to this 2-1 lead? It's all on the shoulders of their ace, Tom Terrific, also a.k.a. the franchise. Mets are in first place by a game and a half over the Montreal Expos. The Cubs are in fifth place, hovering around the 500 one-loss record. Ernie Banks is leading it off. Ernie Banks now, the players that are coming up all have excellent power. Randy Hundley, 1-39. Ernie Banks, 1-41. So we don't want to hit an 11. That's a 7. That's in play, 72. And that's a fly ball, deep center field. Agee on the run and makes the catch. Nice read by Tommy Agee. Randy Hundley. Oh, wait. I got Smith now. What happened to Hundley? Oh, I see what happened. So that was Banks. Now it's Smith. And I think I know where Smith went. Smith is in here somewhere. Smith should be in here somewhere. All right, I don't see him in there. Then he could be up here. Let's see where Smith is. I don't see Smith there. I don't see Smith there. Let's see if Smith is somewhere in here. Smith is not in here either. What happened to Smith? All right, Smith vanished. Let's look through the cards to see if not Charlie Smith. It's Willie Smith. Willie Smith's not there. So we kind of waited for a player to show up. Maybe in the restroom. Don't know right now. I see what happened. Maybe, if he hasn't hit since the 7th inning, he may be, oh, there he is. Found him. Okay. Willie Smith. Here's a pitch. That's a 4. Patient 86. And that's a line drive and caught by Boswell, L4. Using the mods. And Randy Hundley. Here goes, 5. Tough out. Tough 44. And that is a ground ball to the first baseman, Cranepool. Takes it himself, and that retires the side. That's the ball game. Tom Seaver, Tom Terrific, pitches a 2-hitter. 2-1 victory. Evens his record, his year-long record to 8-8. Really struggled. In the first part of the season, he was 2-7. So since that point, he's won 6 games and only lost 1. And that was after Don Clendenin, and Art Shamsky joined the team. Bill Hands drops to 10-7. New York wins their 50th game. They're 14 games above 500. Let's look quickly at the box score. Then I'll tell you a little bit about the standings. So in this game, Tommy Agee had 3 hits, batting .294. In reality, Tommy Agee batted about .270, batting about 20 points higher. Art Shamsky went 1 for 3, 2 for 5 for Wayne Garrett, 3 for 4 for Weiss. But it was really all in the hands of Tom Terrific, who went 9 innings, gave up 2 hits, 1 run, no earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, faced 34 batters, lowered his ERA to 2.08. In reality, his ERA was 2.21. So the ERA is almost matching, just a few points difference. And the Mets win it. They win it by a score of 2-1. Let's go quickly to the standings, and I'll read those out for you. Let's look at the standings. And the Mets are in first place, 2.5 games ahead of the Montreal Expos, who are 49-40. They've begun to lose. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games. Pittsburgh is 73 in their last 10 games. They're 48-42. They're 4 games back. St. Louis, 47-45. They're 6 games back. So this is a tight race here in the National League East. It's Chicago. Chicago's 8 games back, so they're still in it. And Philadelphia is 10.5 games back. And this is a little bit beyond the halfway point in the season. So this is our 1969 Mets replay. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for stopping by. Remember, this is your home for tutorials and strategy, player profiles, history reviews, news, tips, Topps Baseball Cards rants, and you heard a rant. If you go earlier today, you'll hear the rant, and so much more. So thanks for stopping by. This is CP Cards and Dice, and keep rolling. Take care, guys.